The next set of questions are going to be for you, Krystal. What are you doing specifically to attract Indigenous employees into the corporate organizations such as banking?
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of want to be super transparent in the conversation because I feel like with the truth, we can kind of move the dial forward. I've been in Indigenous banking, Indigenous recruitment, I'd say, for the last 6 years. And, I kind of get worried because I feel like the conversation hasn't changed as much as it should have, and the dial hasn't moved forward as much as I'd like it to. So when I think about the financial industry and hiring Indigenous talent, it is a challenge. I think we're not an employer of choice, and it's not a TD thing. I think it's across the board in the financial industry. We're all kind of having the same challenges and barriers. But we've really done the research, and I've done a lot of work at the grassroots level to really talk to Indigenous youth and not just at like the post-secondary level where they've already made the decision to kind of go into the programs that they have, but more at the high school level too. Like, have you ever thought about banking as a career? Has it ever have you ever aspired to this type of position? And a lot of the students are kind of really timid by it, and again, I always go back to my own unconscious bias. I never thought I'd work for a bank. All the employees, Indigenous employees that are my peers today, none of them thought they'd work in banking. So again, because we're dealing with a smaller population of representation in the financial industry, again, it's like that nature versus nurture of like, if none of your family has ever worked in the financial industry, you don't even think that's a job or a career. So again, you're not even kind of looking or making decisions academically to get you into those types of positions. So what I've kind of done is, instead of just going to post-secondary and talking to Indigenous students, I've kind of dialed it back to go, I need to go to high schools. And I don't want to just go myself. I kind of want to bring Indigenous employees with me that are around the same age as them, because that's who they're going to resonate with. And that's who should be telling our story. And again, so you think about millennials, you think about youth, you have to go to where the fish are. So again, we don't post things on our job boards or on our career page because, again, the chance of them going onto our career site is like little to no chance. So we try to find places where they'll be, whether they're trending on hashtags, popular kind of Indigenous stuff that's happening in Canada across the country. And then again, we're trying to showcase our message through those means. So whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, these are kind of the channels. If you want to engage youth, you have to go to where they are, and you have to have a really authentic message. So again, I always, for me anyways, I'm always cognizant that I don't want a corporate type of message to go out. That's good for CSR, like corporate social responsibility, like magazines, but for youth, if you want to talk to youth and really engage with them, you have to be authentic in your messaging. So I always encourage our employees to say, like, what were your unconscious biases? What were some of your challenges? And, tell us about your career story, because again, those are the stories that are really going to resonate and actually get Indigenous youth engaged. So that's kind of like, that's part of it. The other part, again, is, of course, the education is a big component of it. Senior leadership buy-in is another important part of it. For me, again, we've been doing summer internships and student recruitment for such a long time, and that's great. I don't want us to stop doing that. But something that I don't think we're doing enough of is development programs. So you have Indigenous employees now in your organization, but how are you working with them to get them into senior leadership positions, decision-making positions, or even on at that highest level? Because again, that's where you're really going to see change happen. So again, I think it's a holistic approach of of course, hire youth, hire the new kind of talent coming from across the country, but you have Indigenous people working for you now, and you can develop them into senior leadership positions. And what does that look like?